Hello, everybody. I'm Rita.
Hi, everybody. I'm Abby, and we would love to welcome you to our podcast called Coconut Chronicles, a coconut's diary through South Africa.
I love the enthusiasm, girl.
Yes.
Can you please tell us about what this channel is about?
So why we wanted to start this channel, we want to build a community. We want to open up discussions. We want to get different perspectives, different viewpoints, just around this much shied away topic. And
sensitive topic.
Yeah.
As you said, identity is definitely going to be quite the centered thing. And just creating a safe space, ultimately, a middle ground. We're trying to make the table bigger around this. It shouldn't be a conversation too much shied on. You guys should kind of consider us to be the aunties who are going to talk about, all things coconutism in this country. And coconutism is a new word, apparently. It doesn't exist.
We're terming the word.
We're owning it. We're gonna use it. Hopefully, it will be added to the dictionary. I don't know. We'll see. And then, just as a disclaimer, you guys can find our full episodes on YouTube, and feel free to follow us on all our socials. Right?
Yes, please. We really want to open a discussion. Please join in that discussion and let us know your viewpoint, your perspectives, your experiences. Please.
Yeah.
You're
welcome. So now kind of going into, what is coconutism? We need to obviously have a nice little platform on what we're actually going to be going into, right? So we need to analyze the label discussions, should I say, and the narratives concerning coconutism. So the obvious first question that we want to ask is, what is a coconut? Let's start there. Abs, give me a little statement.
So I'm going to stick with the classic. The classic. Yeah. White on the outside, black on the inside. Yeah. There are other terms such as Oreo, umlungu, traitor, backstabber, other awkward ones as well.
Yeah, I was called a traitor the other day by my Uber driver. So that was amazing.
Good start to the morning.
So the nicknames do get added to the list on a daily experience. Just as you said, Abs, it really is that kind of gets kind of populated, if you could say. But we had to ask ChatGPT, our good friend, for a good definition of what, I guess, a summary of that is. And I'm going to read her. What was said is that when used to describe a person, the term coconut generally refers to someone who appears to be part of a certain ethnic or cultural group, often with a darker skin tone, but is perceived as adopting behaviors, values, or attitudes typical of Western, often white culture. But to its nutshell, black on the outside, white on the inside. We just kind of touched on, it's not really only from an African lens. I've been approached by Indian coconuts, if you could say, where they've identified it as that term. Oh, no, I'm a coconut. I was like, you're? Like, what? Oh, I thought it was only the Africans dealing with this, but no. There's Wasians, there's all sorts. You guys are welcome also to join the conversation.
Yes, please do. And I just love your point on that coconutism comes in all different shapes and sizes. There's not just one size fits all.
Absolutely not.
And we do want to expand on that topic and actually discuss that, because I think different cultures will affect and experience coconutism extremely differently.
Absolutely. We need to demystify that is the term. So with that, ChatGPT has helped us give us kind of a little bit of a jump board, but we needed to also kind of do a little bit of a research study, if you could say, to dig deeper on, I guess, what are the academic terms or references on this topic. And from our studying, we've come up with, I guess, from the same article, just 2 quotes that we thought stood out to us. And we're just going to expand on that. Abs, do you want to go first?
Sure. So the article is called The Uneasy Boundary Work of Coconuts and Black Diamonds, Middle Class Labeling in Post-Apartheid South Africa by Lief de Koning. The quote that stood out to me and just resonated with me, upwardly mobile blacks, meaning people that want to improve their lives, level up, scale up, have a long-term history of being criticized as fake, sellouts, or not black or African enough. There was a book or article named famously by Fanon's is Black Skin, White Masks. And I think this quote really stood out to me because of the microaggressions around coconutism. And I think there's a massive misconception around where this comes from and context. People take it out of context and it's just attack. You're selling out on your culture. You're selling out on who you are. You're a threat. And what was your interesting findings in this article?
Okay, so I also, on that same article by Retha Ledwaba, it's a French author. Sorry if you're butchering your name. I'm so sorry
about that.
But she here, kind of in her earlier body of context, she touched on the middle class, black middle class, right, in this country, and how that has influenced, I guess, or slightly amplified coconutism, if it was her argument. So I'm going to read here in a quote here that says, early post-apartheid discourse on the black middle class contradictorily questioned its ability to act in the interest of all black people and doubted its loyalty to the liberation struggle. A Western lifestyle in tandem with a perceived consumerism was publicly critiqued, suggesting black middle-class people were selfishly imitating white privilege or were being disloyal. Some extremely vicious attacks on the new values of the black middle class came from black commentators who rooted their critiques in a charge of having sold out on the liberation struggle. So here you can hear, obviously, the hints of quoting back to our post-apartheid struggle and how that's been the kind of climate it's been since then, right? So we have to always remember that this is a post-apartheid thing. And because of that climate change, classism is quite an influence, right, in this discussion. There's many influences and aspects of how has coconutism been influenced in this country. And this stood out for me, especially in the point of being disloyal and imitating white privilege, right? And I think, once again, we need to demystify that because it doesn't always come from that background. It doesn't always come get access through that. And I think the disloyal topic as well, it just really does come back to that threat aspect that we disagree with. But I think, once again, let's have a bigger discussion on it. Let's not shy away from it. Yes, it's sensitive, right?
Uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable, but we have to talk about it. We can't get around it. So from here, we're going to go into our questions. So hopefully you guys are going to grab a coffee over there. I'm sure you've been asking as the first question, who are we and how did we meet, Abby? Oh, my word. Please give us your take.
So we are just two coconuts, best friends of 11 years. We will deny that and just... I can't
we are 23 forever. Do you understand me?
We met at varsity. We're a bunch of creatives and we're just a bunch of goofballs as well.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's how it happened. But I can expand on when I first met Abigail, whenever the story comes up, I'm like, when I first met you, I just remember you being a part of the cool kids. I swear, Abs, you look like a cool kid.
I'll deny this to the day.
All the swag in the world. I was just like, oh, okay. She don't want to hang with us. It's all good. I'm going to stay with my group, on the side at varsity. But somehow our worlds collided. I think at a party. We met at a party, babes. I really do think so. If not, it's because of our surnames.
Yeah, Ledwaba, Latilla. Yeah.
Exactly. So from there, we've just never looked back. We recognized of the fact that we have a lot of similarities, if you could say, in our story. And we recognized that we had... or recognized good hearts, should I say,
yes.
In each other. And who doesn't want to be around good people? So
yeah,
never looked back from there.
Rita just completely destroyed my nerd credibility. I am a nerd at heart. I'm like,
If you saw yourself in that crowd, I was just like, oh, who is she? Oh.
Nonsense. Lies. Filth and lies.
Anyway, so here we are now. Now going into our second question, obviously, need to touch on. Why did we start this podcast, Abs?
Now we're getting into the source of everything.
Yes.
I think I just got tired of being dismissed as a coconut. I think in South Africa, we like to, especially post-apartheid South Africa, everyone wants to be Rainbow Nation, get over it, don't talk about it. We're all getting along here. Yeah. Shh. And I think I just got tired of that as well. And I also think I've had so many parents, adoptive parents, come up to me and just beg for help with their children, and they're trying to help them with their identity and trying not to strip them of their identity and helping them navigate. And it is just, I couldn't help them at the time. And I think I didn't recognize or actually realize the importance of community at the time. And I took it for granted because I had fostered a community around me. So I really do want this channel to help coconuts struggling with their own identity, struggling with their own circumstances. I really want us to support each other, to help each other, understand each other, to meet in the middle and just move forward and give a space to be heard.
Just to add to that, Abby, I really wanted us to demystify this coconut identity, really, at the core of it. It's really not this one size fits all type of situation. People really need to get away from that. It's there's really different types, different shades of coconutism. It's really not as what people think it is. And also on that, we need to talk about the realities of it. It's definitely not a Rainbow Nation situation, man. It has quite a bit of pain around it. Yes, there's sensitivities, but I think if we start deconstructing the reasons why, right? And we deconstruct also, is it sincerely necessary for us to be aggressive on this? No. And this is what the platform needs to do. We need to create a bridge. We need to create some sort of middle ground to show that, hey, we can talk about this. Hey, it's not what you think it is fully. There's just so many aspects. There's many colors around it. And, you know, even with whatever stories that we do kind of come across, right? We're going to get a whole lot of panels here to really kind of, explain the criteria at hand. You know, as I said, linguists are going to come on here, psychologists are going to come on here, adoptive parents, you know, and all the different shades here as well of coconuts will be on here. Even people who have detransitioned, if I could say, from coconutism. Some people have, one of my friends, she was a coconut when she was until, I think, from a young age, from a toddler to like 6 years old. And then when she got into primary school, that's when she actually started learning. But she was known as the coconut little girl, but then started learning Spedi as she was bullied into, you know, learning. And yeah, she got a hold of it, but she thinks in English. So there's so many, you know, aspects of what is coconutism, you know, like we have to actually define that term.
Yeah.
And we did just a little bit, but I think everybody has their different perspective on it. So it's important for us to have that discussion and go from there. But ultimately, that's what this platform is for, and we hope that you can be a part of this community. So, yeah.
Just on being a part of a community, your journey with coconutism. When did you first realize you were a coconut, and just that awareness? When did you start to become aware of it?
I mean, I was going to say, like, is this my villain arc story? You know, this is where it starts, you know. Where did she turn? When did she become a traitor? Okay, so the story does start from grade 1, in fact. So I obviously know most African kids, should I say, I mean, let's not generalize. We all started with an African language. English was never my first language. I grew up in a Tswana household. I'm still in a Tswana household. But it came from, obviously, the primary school systemic issues that came from there, where my parents were advised by a teacher, not even advised, but bullied, because I was going to have to be pulled out of school if I didn't start adapting to English. And just to give you context, so it all started in Eastern Cape, in the little cold, windy city of Port Elizabeth. Yes, I am from there. I'm not going to show you my birth certificate, but you better believe it. I actually was growing up with two languages, Xhosa and Tswana, when I first came around, should I say, from birth on my way to grade 1, so about 7 years old, I could say. And when I had to start grade 1, even though obviously I don't remember this, but this is what I've been told by my parents, is that apparently I was struggling to adapt just to the curriculum of it. And, teacher calls up one day, but apparently it wasn't just one day, it was multiple meetings about this. Right. So, and they hate her still to this day. I must say, I'm not going to name her name. I'm not going to drop names out here. But yeah, my parents still tell this story with distaste. And she was really on the nudge of, if Rita doesn't start adapting to a lot more English, or if she doesn't pick up on it a little bit more, it's either she's got to be put behind or have to be pulled out of school, go to another school, all of those kind of threats. Wow. And ultimately, my parents did decide that, okay, we're going to have to start introducing English in the household. As much as, yes, learning these other two African languages, it was trumped as English in the household. So my parents here can be speaking Tswana to each other, and then me, so darling, in broken English, bruh, they would convert. So that was my, growing up. And I'm sure, people are asking, like, how can this happen? African parents, how, and it's really not that case. I have so much grace towards my parents. Unfortunately, it was a circumstance of, I think, in the post-apartheid world, they were worried from just their background, because my parents had their own issues in the educational system. I think they just didn't really want me to have that same experience of being pushed out, alienated, and probably a chance of not being successful. All of those beautiful stories of, you're not going to make it in life if this doesn't change. Pressure. Right? Mm. So those fears really did come at the forefront. And obviously from there, you start at grade 1, it starts to become like just a way of life, right? But only by the time I was in grade 5 did I realize, Rita, you're a little bit different. Hey, you've got a different accent, and it keeps coming up that people keep saying, like, why do you talk like that? And I'm like, oh, it's different? I didn't know, because in grade 1, I'm sure you can relate, Abby, we're all friends, the world.
Children are brutal. Children are brutal.
We're thinking that we're one big happy family in grade 2, grade 3. By grade 4, 5, you stick out. You're not one of us. Maybe hang out with the white kids, but, and we can talk about that as well. Because that's also a different journey. But yeah, I could say in a nutshell, that's where it started. And then yours, Abs?
Ironically enough, mine also started with a language. And I just want to say I'm really proud of you for just giving your parents the grace at the time. Because I think, as we've mentioned so many times before on this podcast, is that I don't think people give context to the stories.
No.
And they make assumptions. And I mean, that must have just been horrific for your parents to experience, having that fear mongered into them from a teacher. And it's also systemic. There's other things that affect...
So many systemic racisms,
how one actually becomes a coconut. So mine is a little bit more of the classic story. I'm adopted into a white family. When I was initially adopted, didn't speak a stitch of English, only spoke Zulu. I had a helper, Monica, who was an integral part of my family, and I will always be grateful for her because she was a massive support system in me being adopted. Again, my parents chose to wean me on English. My African language was spoken less and less and less and less. I think another compassion point between both our parents is that they were trying to protect us. Often people know that children are not adopted from happy circumstances. It's just the reality of
Absolutely.
it. And I think for me, my parents were trying to give me a new identity away from that, away from that traumatic history. So it just became, you know what, forget all about that. Stop speaking the language. This is who you are. We're going to give you a right name. We're going to give you all of that. And I think it became protection, but I also have had to learn compassion because, as I mentioned before, we didn't have the tools of how to address this, even in psychotherapy. How much we've come along with psychotherapy today, and just diagnoses and like support systems and how to actually transition a child into a family. We didn't have those tools. And ironically enough, there's a catch-22 to it, all of it. I think I've really started to notice is everyone says, you adopt a child, make them feel integrated into the family. Don't make them feel different. And my family definitely did that, but I am always going to be different.
Absolutely.
And when I was growing up, it was just like, yes, I'm white, but I'm black, but not, no, just not that black.
Not that
just,
black.
Yeah, like you're white. And I think that
really.
messaging was just reiterated in the media I grew up with, in the environments I grew up with. And then, as you mentioned, high school came around and things started to change real quick because it's just like, you don't fit in with the white kids, but you don't fit in with the black kids. So you kind of float in between. And it's just like, how do you navigate that? Especially in trying to form your identity, especially in those formative years.
Absolutely.
And then you're getting told 20 different things, and then you're trying to navigate it yourself as well. So I think that definitely was the first time I started to realize that, I'm not the right type of black.
Yes, yeah.
So that was very difficult as well. And then I just wanted to ask you on that note, like, what has coconutism meant to you? What has it taught you? Like, what is things that you are grateful for? What are the challenges? What things do you hope to bring to the table in this podcast?
I mean, I tried to sum it up, preparing for this. And honestly, coconutism is not a perfect thing, right? In a perfect society, everyone should be kind of striving for, everybody's supposed to speak their language according to their heritage. They're supposed to speak according to, whatever climate that they grew up in. And technically every person in South Africa is supposed to speak multiple languages. Like that's supposed to be like the bare minimum in a perfect world, right? But that's not the case. And I think ultimately what being a coconut in my understanding is that, yes, I'm different. But it doesn't mean that I deserve any aggression, being vilified. Doesn't mean that that I should be devalued in any way. Like I'm still worth, I'm still worth something. I'm still worth, being a part of the conversation. I still matter. But I think ultimately I will never take away what coconutism is, right? Like I think we understand the reality of it. We understand that we'll always be the minority. Okay, we'll never be the majority, guys. Like I think, that misconception is high there. I saw a coconut the other day, and I think this country is dying. Like no, languages are actually thriving back in. People are actually recognizing the importance of it, and I think coconuts can be a part of that conversation, so that perhaps that we don't repeat the mistakes of our past generations. But also, in the case of adoption, right? That's always going to be there. There's poverty in this country. Like, guys, how have you thought that adoption happens? But how can we create tools, right, for this? How can we create better tools, should I say, for those topics is really what we want to come to the table for. But ultimately, being a coconut, yes, I'm different, but I still matter, okay? I'm still going to be here, okay? I can't really cover myself too much, okay? Because that's going to kill me. So ultimately, that's I think, the gist of what I would say.
What I loved is that you said, I want to take up space. Yeah. And I think that is so important because we're squashed. And I think it's amazing that you...
to be forgotten. No.
Yeah. Had the courage to say, I'm here and I want to actually take up space. So I'm just like, yay.
So what is coconutism or being a coconut meant to you?
There's been a lot of compassion that I found in being a coconut. And I think the biggest... learning curve for me is that it's helped me allow people to introduce themselves, to give them space to be themselves, to come as they are, which has taught me a lot of compassion and understanding. Another thing that I'm grateful for in my coconutism journey is, as much as it took me a while to realize this is a gift, but when you float in between, you can decide who you want to be because you're actually not given a label. And there's a lot of freedom in that. And I just want to say to anyone who is struggling in their identity, allow yourself the freedom to explore, to try different things, to experiment, because I think it's a blessing in disguise. And then just lastly for me as well is that people can surprise you.
Absolutely.
And if you actually just allow them the space to talk and actually experience and share their truths, like people can surprise you and create a lot more compassion and understanding. So I was just like, that is definitely the things that I'm grateful for coconutism.
Hallelujah. On that. All right, guys. So we're going to conclude here. Obviously, as we said, we want to kind of invite you guys to the table. So not even kind of, fully. You're fully invited to this conversation. And in that, we really want to encourage you to just put down questions down below in the comment sections, wherever the socials may be. Yeah, kind of just ask us whatever is on your heart on this topic.
And then also just on that note, like if you guys have anything that you'd like to discuss and bring up and topics, please put them in the comments down below. And just as a reminder to everyone, the comment section is filled with respect, support, and kindness.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't want any bullies, trolls. You are not invited.
No. So just be respectful of each other, and we want to have conversations with compassion. So please just remember that.
Absolutely. And then I think just as a last point, as we're just growing on this channel, please subscribe.
Yay, influencer.
Right? We're newbies here, but yeah, join the family, guys. Honestly. And I guess thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
See you in the next one.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for watching today's episode of Coconut Chronicles.
Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and don't be shy in the comments.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Bye.